Welcome to IT Playground Cybersecurity Masterclasses, where security meets innovation. Join us as we explore the latest trends, insights, and expert opinions on all things IT. Now, let me ask you something. We spend our lives online, right? Surrounded by these invisible walls we trust to keep us safe. But what if the very idea of a safe digital world is, well, a myth? Today, we're going to decode cybersecurity by exploring the hidden traps and the constant battles that really define our digital lives.
And this quote right here, this is our core idea, because it completely challenges that common belief that security is all about building some impenetrable fortress. The truth is, that fortress, it doesn't exist. The real goal isn't a perfect shield. It's more like a dynamic dance between defense and attack. And honestly, that's a much more interesting way to think about it.
So this brings us right to what we call the myth of absolute security. This belief that, one piece of software or one super strong password can make you 100% safe, it's a dangerous illusion. It's kind of like thinking a bigger padlock is going to stop a flood. The goal isn't perfect, unbreakable safety. It's about understanding the threats and managing the risks intelligently.
Okay, so if security isn't some product you can just buy off the shelf, what is it? Well, think of it more like a state of being. It's the constant maintenance of an acceptable level of risk. See, it's not a wall. It's the act of walking the castle walls every single day, checking for weaknesses, and adapting to new siege tactics. It's a process. It's active, ongoing vigilance. So if we're defending a castle, who exactly is trying to get in? Understanding your enemy is always the first step in building a smart defense. So let's meet the attackers.
When we think of digital threats, our minds usually jump straight to hackers in hoodies or some nasty computer virus. And yeah, they're definitely part of the picture. But here's the surprise. Often, the most common threat can come from the inside. An accidental click by a totally trusted employee can be just as damaging as a targeted attack from the outside. The danger isn't always outside the gates.
Now, no matter who the attacker is or where they're from, their methods almost always fall into 4 basic tactics. Once you understand this playbook, it really demystifies how a breach actually happens.
First up, we have the most direct approach, cutting. This is a very active, very noisy attack. It's the digital equivalent of somebody literally taking a pair of scissors to your internet cable. The goal here is simple. Stop the information from flowing, period. It's all about disruption and denial of service.
The second type is way stealthier. Interception. This is what we call a passive attack. The attacker isn't breaking things, they're just listening. Imagine a spy with a listening device pressed up against the wall. They're gathering intelligence, they're mapping out your system, and they're just waiting for the right moment to launch a more active attack. It's quiet, it's super hard to detect, and it's incredibly dangerous.
Third, we've got modification. Now, this is an active attack, but it's on the integrity of your data. The information still gets from point A to point B, but it's not the same information that was sent. Think about a messenger's note being secretly rewritten on its journey. A message that says attack at dawn could be changed to all clear with, pretty disastrous consequences.
And finally, number 4 is fabrication. This is an attack on authenticity itself. The attacker isn't just changing your messages, they're creating entirely fake ones and pretending to be a legitimate user or system. This is basically digital forgery and impersonation. They're not just breaking in, they're trying to convince your system that they belong there in the first place.
So, we have these 4 attack tactics: cutting, interception, modification, fabrication. But where do you actually run into them? Let's pull this out of the theoretical and put it into a scenario we have all found ourselves in. The temptation of free public Wi-Fi.
I mean, really think about it. That free cafe Wi-Fi network you connect to without a second thought, how secure is it really? This is the absolute perfect environment for an interception attack. That free latte could end up coming with a very costly side of data theft.
And look, this isn't just some hypothetical fear. The data actually shows that in common public spaces, like hotels, cafes, airports, you name it, the probability of your connection being intercepted is rated as high, or even very high. You're basically in a crowded digital room, which makes it incredibly easy for someone to listen in on your conversation.
This is such a perfect reminder that even having a password isn't a silver bullet. The very first Wi-Fi security protocol, something called WEP, was eventually found to be just full of major security holes. So just because you see that little lock icon next to the Wi-Fi name doesn't mean the lock is actually any good. Technology evolves, and so do the ways to break it.
All right, we've defined the problem, we've identified the attackers, and we've seen how it all plays out in the real world. I know, it might feel a little daunting, but don't worry. Now we get to shift from the problem to the solution. Let's talk about the fundamental principles for building our digital defenses.
Any good security system, any of them, is built on these three pillars. It's often called the CIA triad. First, there's confidentiality, keeping secrets secret, right? Preventing unauthorized disclosure. Second, integrity, making absolutely sure your data is trustworthy and hasn't been messed with. And third, availability, ensuring that the right people can access the information when they need to. If you lose any one of these three, your security fails.
And you maintain that trinity through a continuous cycle. It never stops. You start by evaluating your risks. Then you build your protections to prevent attacks. But since nothing is ever perfect, you absolutely must have tools for discovery, so you know when a breach happens. And finally, you need a plan to answer, to recover, restore, and learn from it. And then, the cycle just begins all over again.
And this brings us right back to the single most important idea we've talked about today. If you remember just one thing, please let it be this. Security is a process, not a product. You can't buy it. You have to practice it every single day.
So, I'll leave you with a question to take with you. Now that you understand these principles, what is the weakest link in your own digital fortress? Is it an old password? Is it that cafe Wi-Fi? A lack of backups? The first step to building a stronger defense is knowing where to place that first stone. Thanks for tuning in to IT Playground's Cybersecurity Masterclasses. Join us next time for more tech talk, insights, and innovation. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us